Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, live better. I'm your host, Chris Borda, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S. Fitness. And let me first thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I have to say. And before I go any further, let me also thank our sponsor, Y.E.S. Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S. Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you want to get a timestamp or a transcript of today's broadcast, head on over to yesfitnessct.com. Across the top, you see a button that says podcast. Click on that, and it will give you access to any one of our now 366 episodes. You can also get this broadcast wherever podcasts can be found. Hidden reasons weighted vest falls short of its promises. Today, we're going to take a hard look at a couple of tools that keep popping up in the fitness world. Carrying hand weights while walking and wearing a weighted vest. Hand weights had their moment years ago, and weighted vests are trending now. I see it all the time. Both promises to make walking more effective, burn more calories, strengthen your bones, build muscle, and without changing your daily walk. Sounds good, right? But do they really deliver? And more importantly, are they safe? Let's dig into the science. First, hand weights while walking. A fitness fad that should stay in the past. If you've ever seen walkers swinging tiny dumbbells, you know where this starts. The thinking was, hey, if I'm moving my arms or anyway, why not add resistance and make it a full body workout? Well, that's not what the research shows. Back in the 1980s and 90s, that long ago, several studies tested this. For example, in 1988, a study by Graves and colleagues in Research Quarterly for Exercise and Sports compared brisk walking with and without 3-pound hand weights. They found that heart rate and blood pressure went up when weights were added, but oxygen consumption only increased a little. In other words, the heart was working harder, but the body wasn't burning much more energy. And energy means calories. In 1994, a study by Evans in the Journal of Sports Medicine and Physical Fitness confirmed this. Holding hand weights raised cardiovascular strain, but the calorie burn was modest and inconsistent. And in 2017, Campagna and colleagues showed similar results in older adults, high blood pressure and heart rate without a big payoff in energy expenditure. And listen, your shoulders might not like this either. Biomechanically, you're asking the rotator cuff and long head of the bicep to dampen the swinging lever thousands of times per walk. That repetitive low-level loading with the humerus slightly abducted can aggravate subacromial structures in some walkers, especially if posture and arm swing gets sloppy as fatigue sets in. That's why organizations like the American College on Exercise, and even mainstream health outlets have long advised against hand weights for walking. They just don't give enough benefits to justify the risk. Public Health Guides has long cautioned that injury risk may outweigh the small caloric uptake. Even walking advocates advise skipping hand weights and focusing on pace and purposeful arm movement instead. Here's the bottom line. They can make walking feel harder and may nudge heart rate up, but the increase in oxygen cost is often small, and the pressor response, blood pressure rising, is not ideal for some populations. Combine that with repetitive shoulder stress, and they're a poor trade-off for most people. There are far better ways to make walking more effective. Let's take a look at the weighted vest trend now. It's the modern trend. These have surged in popularity. Unlike hand weights, the load is placed close to your center of mass, which spreads the stress more evenly through the body. That makes them feel more natural to use. And why would people be wearing these vests? Let's start with this. They raise energy costs. Engels and colleagues in 1995 show that adding torso load during walking increased oxygen consumption compared to unloaded walking at the same speed. They increase ground reaction forces, which giving bones and muscles a slightly stronger load signal, which some believe could help with bone density. They're convenient. Your arms are free. Your gait is unchanged, and you can still carry groceries, hold a leash, or swing your arms naturally. Sounds like a win, right? Well, not so fast. Let's break down the three biggest claims: bone strength and calorie burn. First, bone density, the adaptation problem. The theory makes sense. Bones respond to load. So if you walk with extra weight, your bones should get stronger. In some early pilot studies, like in 2017, a paper by Kerrigan and colleagues in the Journal of Gerontology hinted that weighted vests might help reduce bone loss during weight loss programs in older adults. But when larger, higher quality research came out, the story changed. Just in 2025, Beavers and colleagues published the INVEST in a bone health trial in JAMA. This was a 12-month randomized control trial with 150 older adults who were overweight. One group wore a weighted vest, another resistance trained, and another served as a control during a structured weight loss program. The results? No group was spared from losing bone density at the hip. Even with the vest, participants lost bone just like everyone else. Why? Because bone adapts quickly. It will strengthen to handle the new stress. But once it's adapted, it stops building new tissues unless you continue to change the stimulus. Walking with the same vest weighted day after day doesn't provide the variation or intensity. Bones need impact and progressive overload. Things like strength training, jumping, or high force movements. So the truth is, a weighted vest may give bones a little extra reason to hold on early, but it's not enough long term. If bone density is the goal, progressive resistance training and impact remain king. You need to lift weights. You need to know how to lift weights correctly. You need to progressively overload that, and you need to have some impact. So let's say you're doing it for leg strength. Not enough stimulus here either. Another claim is that vests make your legs stronger. Here's where we need to be clear. A vest increases ground forces, but it does not provide the kind of progressive tension that builds muscle. To typically strengthen legs, you need movements that challenge the muscles close to their capacity. That's squats, lunges, step-ups, deadlifts. Walking, even with a vest, never pushes the muscles that hard. So while a vest might make walking feel a little tougher, it's not strength training. It's cardio with extra load. If the goal is stronger legs, you need to lift, not just walk with weight. And how about this? Calories, a small bump, questionable trade-off. Yes, a weighted vest increases caloric burn. The body has to move more mass, and that costs more energy. Study like Engels in 1995 showed oxygen consumption goes up with torso load. But here's the catch. The increase is proportional to the added load. And in the safe range, 5 to 10% of your body weight, it's not dramatic. So if you're wearing a vest that's 5 to 10% of your body weight, there's very little caloric increase in caloric expenditure, pardon me. So for example, if you burn 300 calories on a 45-minute walk, at a 10-pound vest, you might bump that to 20 to 30 calories. That's the equivalent to a few bites of food. Compare that with walking faster, tackling a hill, or extending the walk another 5 to 10 minutes, all of which can deliver the same caloric bump without extra stress on your joints or spine. So when we weight the calorie payoff against the risk, which is joint irritation, back strain, balance challenges, and heat stress, the trade off doesn't look great for using a vest purely as a calorie burner. So here's some risks you need to know and how to respect the load. Any external load changes mechanics. Benefits rise, and so do risks on the same curve. So we got joint loading and overuse. Military and occupational research on load carriage, granted often with heavier loads than you'd ever use recreationally, consistently links added body-borne load to changes in gait, higher mechanical stresses, and higher risk of musculoskeletal injuries when loads are excessive or progressed too quickly. The principle applies to recreational vests. More mass means more force through the knees, the hips, the ankles, the feet, and the spine. So dose does matter. We've got to take a look at heat stress and comfort. A vest adds not just mass, but sometimes insulation that traps heat. Studies on protective weighted vests in the heat show increased physiological strains on the heart and thermal load versus lighter clothing on hot, humid days, or for people with cardiovascular thermoregulatory issues. This is not trivial. Hydrate, choose breathable designs, and reduce or skip load in the heat. Take a look at balance and falls. If your balance is marginal, even a light vest can change your stability, especially on uneven terrains or stairs. Start on the flat grounds first, then progress. So who should be cautious or avoid vests? Recent guidance for the general public recommendations starting 5 to 10% of body weight, ensuring a snug fit and build gradually. People with back pain, joint disease, cardiovascular disease, or who are pregnant should get medical clearance before using a vest. Weighted vests are safer than hand weights, but they're not risk-free. Research on occupational military loads carriage like Knapp in 2004 in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research shows that carrying extra load consistently increases musculoskeletal strain and increased risk if it's not progressed carefully. So here's some practical recommendations if you are really thinking about using these vests. Well, let me first start with hand weights here. If you're tempted to carry hand weights, skip them. For most walkers, the risk benefit does not pencil out. If your goal is caloric burn, you'll do better by walking a little faster, adding a short hill, a stairs bout, mixing in brisk intervals, or even, as I've said previously, skipping. Skipping is fantastic. Don't have to skip for a long distance, but you'll see how it gets your heart rate up. It will increase bone density in the beginning for sure. You get some posterior extension on the glutes. Your shoulders and your elbows will thank you for this. So skip the hand weights. Upper body engagement while walking. Consider occasional Nordic walking, using poles maybe, which can raise energy costs without the repetitive shoulder loading that swinging dumbbells does. Research from 1998 to Evans to Graves in 1998, Evans in 1994, Campana in 2017 all show that little caloric benefit and higher cardiovascular strain put risk to the shoulder. So skip the hand weights. If you're considering weighted vests, get clearance. If you have medical or orthopedic issues, vests elevate load and can elevate cardiovascular strain, especially in the heat. Start light, really light. Think 5% of body weight, max 10% after several weeks of adaptation. If you weigh 160, that's 8 pounds to start, with a ceiling of 16 pounds as you earn that. Fit and feel matters. The vest should be snug, should hug your torso so the weight doesn't bounce on your neck. No digging into the back of your neck or collarbone. If it shifts or chafes, fix the fit or try another model. And progress slowly. Add only time or load, not both in the same week. A simple rule: add 5 to 10% more time or 1 to 2 pounds every 2 to 4 weeks if joints and back feel good the next day. Back off at any time. And the first sign of knees, hip, foot, or back inability. And make sure we're matching the environment. On hot, humid days or when you're under recovered, walk without the vest. Hydration and shade help when you do load. And let's treat this vest as a supplement, not the main load. These vests are expensive too. For the bone and strength priority, prioritize progressive resistance training, squats, step ups, deadlifts, presses, rows, 2-3 times a week. That's what you need to do. The vest is a convenient add-on during walks, stairs, body weight circuits. It's not a replacement for lifting. Recent evidence reinforces that a vest alone won't save bone during weight loss. For bone and strength, prioritize progressive resistance training, body weight squats, loaded carries, steps, again, rows, 2-3 times a week. This is what you need to do if you want to strengthen the bones, if you want to strengthen the muscles. Got to lift some weights. So, personally, there are much more efficient ways to burn calories, safer ways to burn calories, safer and to build bone density, safer and more effective ways to build muscle mass, get stronger. So I think both of these items, hand weights, for sure, stay away from them. And the vest, it's a mild, very, very mild gimmick. I would stay away from it. I don't think the cost outweighs the benefits. So thanks for tuning into the Functional Longevity Podcast. If you'd like help designating a safe and effective program that keeps you active for decades, reach out. We'd love to help you lose some fat. Fat is about nutrition. It's not about wearing a vest. It's not about hand weights. Losing fat is about lifting weights, strength training. Building bone is about strength training. All these things we'd love to help you with. We'd love to guide you with that. So again, thanks for watching. We'll come up with some more information for you next week on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Have a great night.